Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
For the days you'll never remember, we create an experience you'll never forget. Through fantasy, we discover an opportunity to pause time. We bring to life a world from pure imagination through the lens of childlike wonder. Any that pass beyond our castle gates receive the freedom to leave their realities behind.
Pickle, pickle.
Fire in the hole!
Huzzah!
I can tell you that this experience is something special, but I won't. They will.
The fair to me is a sense of community. It's a sense of escapism. It's also a sense of how we hope the world will be one day.
Every year, me and my friends look forward to coming back to this magical place and having the absolute best time and making the most cherished memories.
Well, I love it. I love feeling part of a community that loves embracing and enjoying being fantasy-based, different, having fun, having a good time.
Florida RenFest is kind of like Halloween for 8 straight weeks of dressing up in medieval, steampunk, wonderland, whatever you've got your eye on, come out and dress like that. It's so much fun.
Everyone comes to the Renaissance Festival for all the stuff you can do and see, but I come for the person that I can be when I'm here.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I gotta tell you, this interview I'm excited about, only because it's about one of my favorite events. And, you know, anybody that listens to me knows me. They know I go to a lot of events for a lot of years. This one is my favorite. And if you can see behind me, you might know what it is. And the shirt I'm wearing is actually from the Renaissance Festival. And now I have one of the people that produces the whole festival right here, and that's right here in South Florida, hometown to the Pipeman. So let's welcome to the show, Bobby Rodriguez. How are you?
Well, it's my pleasure, and thank you for inviting us. And that fest. Oh, let me turn my walkie-talkie off because we're constructing a Renaissance as we speak.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yes. It also happens to be my favorite festival as well.
You know, I started going to Renaissance festivals because there's a lot of them. When I lived in 1980 in Agoura, California at 13 years old, and me and my high school friends used to work at the festival, volunteer, you know, just so we could go as teenagers with no money. And
Right.
it's one of the best times of my life. And it led me to, my kids will tell you, like, they never missed a RenFest here in South Florida because I would go every single year since 1980 to a Renaissance Festival. And since I've been here since 2000 in South Florida, there's no other better place to be. And I can't believe it's like the 33rd anniversary. Does that blow your mind?
Yes. I had no idea when I started this whole thing that it would become the monster that it is. And so you have been coming to the festival ever since we moved to Quiet Waters Park, because this is our 25th year at Quiet Waters Park in Deep.
Wow. That's pretty cool. And it is true, because I have been going to Quiet Waters Park every time that I've gone, and it's been since 2000. So wow, I didn't know that was the first year there too.
Yeah, yes, it was.
Nice.
And so you have seen the metamorphosis that has happened over the last 25 years, and it's been incredible.
Oh yeah, and like, even now, my kids are grown adults, far beyond even just adulthood. And still, they always ask me if they're in town during the time that the RenFest is like, if we could go to Renaissance Festival. And they always talk about, it's like one of their favorite childhood memories.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, listen. What a great place not only to have fun, but to escape reality. And I think that in 2025, I think here in South Florida, that's what we need most. Just everybody to go to the Renaissance Festival and just escape reality for a little while. Because listen, isn't that what it's like? You go there, even like my sunglasses that I'm wearing here, I got them at the Renaissance Festival during one of your themed weekends. And it was steampunk weekend. So tell us about this year's.
I think you hit the nail on the head. People say, why is it still growing and why is it successful? And I think more so today, people need that escape from reality.
Mm-hmm.
The pressures of daily life seem to get more and more. The world's a crazy place. And just as in really bad times, the movie industry always does well, because people need to sit in that seat for a couple of hours and escape,
Mm-hmm.
and get taken over by that facade that is created. And that's what we do. It takes a lot of work for us to make you feel like you're 500 years back in time.
Right.
Just yesterday, I had somebody, a new vendor, that said, I've never been to a Renaissance Festival before, and can I dress up in regular clothes? I said no. I said, if you're a vendor, you've got to dive into this facade that we're creating. You can't wear watches. You can't use your cell phone in front of patrons. You have to try and stay away from local colloquialisms and try not to speak like an actor, but get a little bit into character and interact with our performers. That's what makes this village come to life.
Yeah, and what it happens is all of the people coming, the patrons, they do the same thing. Yeah. So, like, it just creates a whole community of, in my opinion, no outsiders. We're all united, one people in a time that was a lot simpler.
Yeah. Well, listen, the reality is, it was compared to today, it was a pretty horrible time, because you had, you didn't have the medicines and the doctors, and you had open sewers, and a lot of it was pretty damn ugly. But we leave all of that ugliness behind, and we just take the beautiful stuff and we relive that,
See, and me as a motivational speaker, I like to just focus on what was positive. And so that's why I look at that. Like, you come to Renaissance Festival right here, and it's like it almost is like you can rewrite history, because you can take times that maybe were, for lack of a better way of putting it, barbaric, and turn them into some fantasy of, togetherness, family, love, and fun.
Well, it's funny you're saying that, because somebody asked me, what is the fascination with the medieval and the Renaissance era? And I said, in my opinion, growing up in the 50s and 60s, Hollywood had a lot to do with it,
Yeah.
Robin Hood and all of that. And almost every year since I've been born, there's been some kind of a movie about that era. And we're fascinated over here because we don't have the history that they have over in Europe. Excuse me.
And listen, we didn't live it, so it's like we're trying to live vicariously. It's just like anything else that when we put on costumes and cosplay and stuff like that, we didn't get to experience it, so that's our way of experiencing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, I don't know how many years it's been now that we started doing themed weekends. It's got to be at least 12, 15 years that we've started doing that. And that became a hit, because now it's an excuse for patrons to get dressed up into different themes. People love to do that.
Oh, no doubt. That's why I meant, like, the patrons, when you go to the Renaissance Festival here in South Florida, oh my God, like, you feel like you're back in that time. You don't really see, even the people you would think wouldn't dress up, they dress up, because it's just, again, a great escape and a lot of fun to do.
I think I'm going to use that as the new tagline. Florida Renaissance Festival, the great escape.
I love it. Perfect.
Yeah.
But it is true, because you do escape in time and you escape reality. And as soon as you walk through that,
Castle Gate.
Exactly. Right as soon, it's like you're in another world.
Sure.
Even you were talking about how you talk, like, it just automatically happens, that you start to talk like you're in Renaissance times while you're inside. And then the music, I love the music part of it. Like the Celtic music to me is like so much fun, especially when you do at the end of the day. And like it's like the whole community is there dancing and singing, and it's just, that's what I want to see. Forget everything else and the news and whatever else everybody watches. That's what I want to see.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. We happen to have the reputation of being one of the best Renaissance festivals, musically speaking. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I myself am a musician and performer.
Nice.
And so, it's very important to me. And we are blessed to have some great musicians.
So, and I have another question too. Like, yes, there's a lot of different Renaissance festivals. And so, what do the performers, the ones, not the local ones, but the ones that travel,
right?
What do they say about our Renaissance Festival?
Well, I'm very proud to say that the majority of them say that it's the best, what they call soft show, because most of the really big Renaissance festivals around the country are like theme parks. They're permanent,
right?
With permanent buildings, and we transform a park into a Renaissance village, and then when we leave, you don't even know that we're here. And with all that we have built and all the attention to detail that we have given the show year after year, the reputation is that it's the best soft show. And a lot of it, you wouldn't know that it's a soft show. You'd think it was a permanent show. And again, musically speaking, we have the reputation of having the best music. And I'd like to think that it's up there with the big guys.
I think so. And I love, some of the shows that you just love to go to over and over again because unlike some types of events, it's a different show every time for each of the different performances. It's a different show every time. You could go. I've gone to some of the shows a few times in one day, and it was like, just as good each time because it was a different show completely.
Well, this year is going to be even better because what I've done. Uh, Sadly, my entertainment director, after 20 years, has retired, and being in the entertainment business all my life, I picked up his. I tell people I had a promotion. I'm now the new entertainment director. So what I've done is I've cut back on a lot of the acts that have been doing my show for many, many years, and instead of them doing the entire 8 weekends, I'm having them do partials, 3, 4, 5 weekends, allowing me to bring in a lot of new acts. And so every weekend, especially for those who are season passes, it's not going to be the same old, same old.
Nice.
We're really changing it up, and it's going to be fresh, and it's exciting.
Yeah, so that was the next thing I was going to ask you. Can you give us some hints of what's going to be new for this year, the 33rd anniversary, that maybe hasn't been around ever?
Well, there's one area in the festival that for 20 years now has been called the Beer Garden, kind of a German theme. And we have decided, and we're probably the only Renaissance festival in the country that has done this, we're converting the area to be steampunk themed. And now,
I like that better.
Granted, steampunk is not Renaissance, but again, we're time travelers, and so we're looking at it that way. We're just transporting you to another area temporarily before you come back into the Renaissance era. And so it's steampunk themed, and we're calling it the Gear Garden instead of the Beer Garden.
I love it. I love it.
We're really excited to see how it's received.
Well, I'll be there for sure because I like, obviously by the glasses I'm wearing, I like that the best. And so like the first weekend, you have free entrance for the kids that weekend only for opening weekend. It's Jester's Jamboree. So tell us a little bit about that first weekend.
A Gaggle of Giggles. It's we'll have a fool's parade and jesters, and I mean it's not a kids weekend, but we are opening the gates to kids for this first weekend, free for kids 11 and under. And as usual, we've got 7 other themed weekends, including pirates and Viking and steampunk and Celtic on St. Patty's week, and there's a little something for everybody, so it's exciting.
I think it's actually the best place that you should take your Valentine to also.
Oh, the romance weekend, sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, what better way? And you could even, like, if you really wanted to, you could probably just get and dressed up, go, and then probably, marry yourself there.
Well, we have a lot of people who get their vows renewed at the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah. And do they tell us a little bit about that for some of the romantics that may want to show up and get that done?
Well, what we've done in the past, and there's a chance we may have a character dress up as a cardinal. And one year it was actually the Pope. And on stage, he invited all the patrons to come up and have their vows renewed, and made a big spectacle out of it.
I love it. And what's your favorite weekend?
I'd have to say it used to be Pirates Weekend, but now with all the changes, I don't have a favorite anymore because the patrons are getting more and more into it. And it's like, okay, what are they? Not only is it what are we coming up new with, what are the patrons doing in terms of their costumes and what they're doing? So it's it's pretty exciting to see what's going on.
I also want to say that, a lot of people are involved in putting this together. There's a lot of volunteers, and I'm very big about, we need to support the festival, the community, and everybody involved. And part of that is the vendors that have certain cool things and crafts. Like I brought props with me. One year I bought this from one of the vendors, and I hope I don't stab myself with it, but so that's pretty cool. And then I have this. I was gonna wear this during the interview, but I put it on and I got nervous that I might like poke my eye out while I'm holding the mic. But I have this thing on my hand here, which is like a blade.
Right.
It's hard. There you go. So. But then the blade was like right up by my eye while I'm holding it. I'm like, yeah, that's not a good idea. But yeah, I mean, support all the vendors, support everybody there that's putting their time and effort into it. And there's so much cool stuff you can shop for.
We have one weekend this year that is themed to promote the vendors, and it's Marketplace Mayhem. And we are actually, this is the first year ever that we are 100% sold out with vendors.
Wow.
We have no space left for any vendors, and we're they're juried in. So one of the criteria is that they have to be able to make at least a minimum of 50% of whatever it is that they sell. So we've got some great handmade items, everything from chainmail to clothing to jewelry to it's a shopper's dream, so great place to pick up items for gifts and for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, like shopping there is one of my favorite things too, because you find stuff there that you won't find anywhere
else. Sure.
And then I love the rides, okay? Because they're brilliant. Unlike, just, a manufactured ride. These are like
human powered rides.
Right. You feel like you really are in the Renaissance, and the rides are like handmade, and I mean, that's a pretty cool experience for the kids for sure. And,
and adults. Because
that's what I was saying. And for me.
We've got a barrel ride that, as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, I had a reporter said, well, that's cool, but it doesn't look that exciting. I said, you got to get in it. And when they spun that barrel around and started swinging it, the guy was ready to throw up.
I bet. And then the swing, that's a pretty cool one. I like that one.
We've got something called a crow's nest that spins around a giant telephone pole. The world's largest rocking horse. Something called a hurlinator, which is two seats that spin around 360 degrees. That is the patron. It's self-propelled. That you pump it. The faster you pump it, the faster it goes. And it gets pretty intense. So there's some pretty cool rides.
Yeah, definitely. If you're in South Florida or anywhere, you have 8 weekends. So if you want to come from Australia, it doesn't matter. But if you're here, get the season pass, go every weekend, because I'm telling you, you shouldn't just go one weekend. You have to experience it all. But if you can only go to one, but you need to go to the Florida Renaissance Festival. It is the most awesome Renaissance Festival. I think it's probably one of the best events here in South Florida. And I'm so glad that we're here 33 years later.
Thank you so much. And we are certainly blessed that we can continue.
Can you tell everybody how they can go to the website, go to your socials, connect with you on socials, how they can get tickets, season passes, or anything?
Sure. Sure. First of all, aside from the website, if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, we just developed the most incredible chatbot on our phone system. So you can call our office and ask the chatbot. But her name is, we call in our office, we call the festival FLARF, Florida Renaissance Festival. So when you call Flarfette, our Renaissance gal answers the phone, and she can answer any question that you have about the festival. And she can also speak in several languages. So
Wow.
that's really cool. And if you decide you still need to speak to someone, it's not like you're hooked on this call and going to stay on forever. You can just immediately say, I need to speak to someone, and they'll pass you right on. So that's really cool. And that telephone number is 954-776-1642. And that's
Can you say
Renaissance.
Can you say the phone number again, because you were cutting out during that time?
Sure. It's area code 954-776-1642. Now, if you want to buy tickets online, go to our website, which is ren-fest. That's REN-fest, FEST.com. And there too, we have an AI on there that can answer questions for you. So that's the best place to buy tickets online. And of course, we have tickets available at the box office. If you're a last minute person and you want to just come to the show, you can buy it at the box office. And we are open on Saturdays and Sundays from 10 a.m. until sunset, rain or shine, for 8 weekends beginning February 1st.
And I just have to say also that as somebody who is from the Northeast, so I've been to the New York festivals, and somebody who was also from California and has been to the California festivals, for all of you people listening that have moved here to South Florida from both those places, if you haven't been to the South Florida Renaissance Festival, well, you've been to the wrong ones, because this one's better than both of them.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for giving that to us here in South Florida. And everybody, so you know, it's at Quiet Waters Park, Pompano Beach, so easy
Deerfield
to get to. Deerfield, I always confuse it, right? Deerfield Beach. So whether you're Palm Beach County, Broward, Dade, it's easy to get to. Martin County, easy to get to. You must be at the Renaissance Festival this year, the 33rd anniversary.
And if I may add that for those of you who've never been, I would highly suggest get there early. This way you can drive in easily and no hassles with parking. Because if you get there later, you'll be waiting online for a half an hour to park your car and then waiting to get checked in. Get there early, because the reality is if you stay the full 8.5 hours, you can't see it all because there's too much to do.
I've always tried, and you're absolutely correct. And I always go early because you are right. If you get there like on time, you'll be waiting. If you get there early, it's easy peasy. And you're right. You can't possibly catch everything in one day if you stay the whole day. And I've tried to map it out and do it, but I've never succeeded. So yeah, I love it. Do you have one of your favorite stories of all these 33 years of doing the Renaissance Festival?
Favorite story?
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's a million of them. Probably there's a couple that, and I get this quite often, there's a couple that met at the Renaissance Festival, and a few years later they got married at the Renaissance Festival, because we used to produce a lot of weddings and receptions here at the festival. they got married, and the day they got married, something happened to his costume, and I gave him my personal costume that I had just ordered. I hadn't even worn it yet. I gave him my costume, and so that was a beautiful day, which could have been terrible for him if he didn't have any costume. They made all these plans to have a wedding, and now fast forward, and that was probably 28, 29 years ago. And they just moved back to Florida, and now they have a family, and they're bringing their family to the festival. And we hear that kind of thing all the time. So those are the stories that really make it all worthwhile.
Absolutely, 100%. And it is that type of festival. I've brought my kids. I've brought my grandkids. It's just that type of environment, and I hope everybody joins us. Do you have any final words for the listeners? Anything we haven't covered yet that maybe they need to know?
No, I would just say, if you haven't been, give it a shot, because you will love it. Yeah, and you'll have the common comment for people that come for the first time is, I had no idea.
Right?
I had no idea the size of it. I had no idea that you had all this to offer. So come and join us February 1st through March 23rd, Saturdays and Sundays.
Well, thank you for doing this for us here in South Florida, and I can't wait to be there myself. And thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipe Man.
And when you come, look me up. Let's have a drink together.
Let's do it.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipe Man on W4CY Radio.